Hello, this is Xdog here. Welcome back to another episode of looking at every single mount in World of Warcraft. And today we're going to be going over mounts which were in the game's code for some time or another, but were never implemented into the game or have yet to be implemented into the game. So let's get into it. The Tower Shadehound. This one is a different colour variation of the currently released mounts, very similar to this one in Shadowlands. Of course, that being the Corridor Creeper and the Moor Swarm Soul Hunter. With this being another colour variant, and currently there is absolutely no data as to when or how it was going to be obtained. It could have been guessed that it was going to be from another activity, possibly from Torghast or another related activity in the Moor, which was just never implemented into the game or is yet to be implemented into the game. So unfortunately for now, we don't know exactly how we're going to obtain this mount, or if we ever will. The Green Animite. Now this one is similar to two mounts which were added in Shadowlands, these two being the Chittering Animite, which is more of a light blue colour, and the Endmire Flyer, which is more of a dark blue colour. Those are both obtainable from rare MP seeds in Revolutionise, so it is possible that this one is just another colour variant which they decided either not to implement or was going to be obtainable later in the game. But again, for now, we don't know where or when we will be able to get this mount. The uniquely coloured bee mounts. These were first found in the code in patch 8.2.5, but of course the only one we have actually got released to the game and access to is the Honeyback Harvester, which is just standard looking bee, obtainable from an extremely long reputation grind. The two which were never implemented in the game, which have been found in the code, are the Honeyback Hive Mother, which is a more black variant of the bee, and then we have the Honeyback Drone, which is similar to the Honeyback Harvester, but a more darker orange body. So again, these were more than likely just different colour variations of the bee that we got in the game, and it was decided that they weren't to be implemented alongside the one. Unused yak colours. Now these were first found in the data of the Mr. Pandaria beta build, but were never completely released into the game. There's a three variants that we never obtained in game. These were the Black Riding Yak, the Brown Riding Yak, and the White Riding Yak, although there is a bit of mystery around the white one, because if you go through the Leo and Sons Yak Wash in the Kunlai Summit with a different yak mount, your yak will temporarily turn into this mount's colour, which means we've probably got an explanation for what this mount was. It's basically just a temporary mount which isn't obtainable on its own, but your current yak is transformed into it when it goes through this car wash. The other two mounts, however, we have no data on what they were supposed to be used for, more than likely just different colour variations which were never implemented into the game. The Brewfest Riding Kodo. Now there is some speculation around exactly when you were supposed to obtain this, but of course we never did. So this beast uses the same skin as the Great Brewfest Kodo, but this is on the basic riding model, so it has no armour and all that sort of jazz. It was supposed to be intended as a horde equivalent to the Brewfest Ram, which of course was only released once in 2007 to Alliance players, but of course it was never released alongside that mount, and with that event long gone, and the Brewfest now rewarding different kinds of rewards, it is unlikely that we're ever going to see this mount unfortunately released into the game. The Skeletal Horse. Now this uses the exact same model as the starting area mounts for the undead characters for the Horde, of course. The other ones being the black, blue, brown and red skeletal horses. This one, which has a more of a whiter tone, is probably just an unused colour mount. This decided not to implement into the game. There was four others, so deciding to add one more, they didn't really see much of a point, and decided not to include it. However, the actual spell which you would get to summon this mount has always been in the database, but we still have no way of getting it. The Blue Skeletal Warhorse. Now this is a mount which shares its model with a huge variety of mounts in the game, which of course is the other skeletal warhorses, which are the higher level undead mounts. Then you have the Forsaken Warhorse, you have the Ruindraft's Death Charger, and all that sort of mounts as well. So for this one, it has the exact same model as the skeletal steed ridden by Lady Blaumex in Naxxramas. It's unknown if this was supposed to be a possible drop from the new Naxxramas or the original Naxxramas in Classic. But of course, with it not being implemented in the game, it has never been obtainable, even though the mount spell did exist, so it's more than likely this was a possible drop from Lady Blumex, but was never added to the drop table. The Ancient Leatherhide. This is now the only unused cliff hoof mount in the entire game. It was found in the code for Warlords of Draenor, but is believed to be the only one that wasn't implemented alongside all the other blood cliff hoofs, which are obtainable through the garrison. So it is more than likely believed that this one is just another killer variant which was supposed to be obtainable from the garrison system, but was left out due to the insane amount of other mounts that you can get from the garrison. The Great Elite Elec. Now this one has a very similar model to the other Great Elec mounts in the game, such as for example the different colour variants like the Great Green Elec blue, and they have the Exodore Elec and the Black War Elec. This one is suspected to have been implemented alongside the other Great Elecs, although this one does have a very unique feature which was found in the database. It actually has the ability to fly. So it's very possible this was implemented as one of the flying mounts, and then they decided that a flying elephant was a little bit silly and didn't implement it into the game. Of course that isn't certain, that is just me speculating. But for this one, it doesn't look like we'll probably ever get it in game, unfortunately. Onyx War Hyena. This Dark Hyena was originally intended to be released in the Battle for Azeroth expansion, but unfortunately was cut from the game at one of the last moments before release. It was in the database up until the Shadowlands pre-patch, and then unfortunately it was removed, meaning we are extremely unlikely to ever receive this mount. We did get, of course, the other killer variations, which is the Dune Scavenger and the Alabaster's Hyena, but I say from the look of it, as it is removed from the database, it is unlikely we will ever receive this mount. It must more than likely be obtained from PvP because it's the War Hyena. So most ones I've got War name are usually from PvP. The Grey Wolf. Now this mount has actually been in the game since Classic, but has never had a way of implementing it. It has the exact same model as all the other basic wolf mounts, I believe attended by the gnomes and the dwarves, but unfortunately this one has never been attended in the game, putting strong indication that this one was just one of another different colour variant which they decided to never implement into the game. The unused leopard and sabre mounts. So these were a variety of different cat mounts which were found in the data for the game, but have never been implemented in the game, and we currently have no way of obtaining them. A lot of them appear to be just different colour variations of the other sabre mounts which are obtainable by the Alliance. These being the tawny sabre cats, which has like an orangey tint to it, and then we have the golden sabre cat as well, which is basically identical to the tawny sabre cat but a different colour. And the other one we have, which is slightly more interesting, is the leopard mount. This is again one of the several sabre mounts that have existed in the database since the beginning of the game, but they have never been implemented. There is, however, an unused item in the data file which will summon a mount called the Primal Leopard, which is what they suspected to be. And the item to obtain this mount was called the Reins of the Primal Leopard. Of course, that has also never been obtainable in the game, and we're not entirely sure how you're supposed to obtain this, but unfortunately, we never got the chance. The Swift Dawn Sabre. This is another Alliance exclusive mount, which is now the only armoured sabre colour variant which has not yet been implemented into the game, even though the spell to summon this mount has existed in the database since Classic, and is still there. This one is a basic variation of the other Swift Sabre mounts, which are attainable when you get to I believe level 40. So it's assumed that this one is just another colour variant which they decided not to implement into the game, for one reason or another. Unused riding crane models. Now there's 3 which have been found in the database since Mr. Pandaria, but have sadly never been implemented to the game and made available. We have the Jungle Riding Crane, which is the darker feathers and the green armour set. Then we have the Crimson Riding Crane and the Albino Riding Crane, which are set to have the exact same model, which is a whiter crane, as you can see on screen, which has the redder saddle. There is one in-game which is identical to these ones, which is the Golden Riding Crane, although that one does have a green saddle instead of a red one, so it is extremely unlikely that we will see either the Crimson or the Albino Riding Crane ever implemented into the game, and since the expansion has been well gone, it is unlikely we will see these cranes added. Unused Water Strider colour variants. Now there are 3 Water Strider mounts which were never implemented into the game, which have been existed in the database since Mr. Pandaria and are still there. These mounts are the exact same models as the Azure Water Strider, which was released in Pandaria, and then the Crimson Water Strider, which was released in Pandaria. It is speculated that these mounts were supposed to be released with subsequent expansions, but they unfortunately never were. So these are the Jade Water Strider, which has a greenish tint, which possibly means it could have been released in the Legion. And then we have the Orange Water Strider, which is a more dark tone, which means it could have been set up for Shadowlands, we'll never know. And then we have the Golden Water Strider, which has a more yellowy tint to it. So this again could have been one to be implemented at a later date, but unfortunately it was decided to never put them in the game. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to punch the like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel for my Twitter link down below as always. Nice to say, I've been XRKidX, and I'll see you in the next World of Warcraft video. Thanks for watching.